In this tutorial, we'll learn how to set up AutoCAD for a two-dimensional architectural drawing. So I've opened up AutoCAD 2019 and I want to create or start a new drawing. So I can either press this button here, or I can go up and I can click the plus. And like many things in AutoCAD, there's multiple ways to do the same command. So I'm going to go ahead and click this big blue button. And I now have my area called model space where I can begin drawing. But before I draw, I want to set up some of the user preferences. And I typically do this every time before I start a new drawing. The first thing that I want to set is my units. So I'm going to go to the big A up in the left corner, go down to Drawing Utilities, and over to Units. So AutoCAD automatically defaults to decimal. But because I'm going to be doing two-dimensional architectural drawings, I want to select architectural under my length type. My precision is going to be a 1/16 of an inch, and I think that'll be just fine. You notice I can click that drop down and I can get very accurate. Anything more than that is going to be much too accurate for constructing. My decimal degrees is my angle that I want. My insertion scale is when I'm inserting things like pre-made blocks is what we call them, toilets or tubs or sinks, things like that. That's going to be my insertion scale. I'm going to go ahead and keep that as inches, and I'm going to select OK. So now that my units are set, I want to set my enhancement tools. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to right click on any of these buttons and click Object Snap Tracking Settings. So snaps is the ability for me to link to the end of a line or a circle or a certain point. And this is really important when we draw in AutoCAD because we always want to link to that end or the middle exactly. We don't ever want to guess and we don't ever want to drag our lines around. So snapping allows us to do that. So with my objects snap on, I'm going to keep that on. Endpoint, midpoint, center, intersection, extension, sometimes perpendicular or nearest is helpful, but we can always turn these on and off even when we're in the middle of a line command. Let me jump back to my polar tracking here for a second. I'm going to turn my polar tracking on. That'll give me some information as I draw lines on the angles. And I think I'm going to select 5 degrees for my incremental angle. Track using all polar angle settings. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And I think that should give me the snaps that I need for my drawing. So you notice that AutoCAD defaults to the grid system. So as I use my wheel, I can zoom in and out and I see my grid. I typically don't draw too much with a grid. So down here at the bottom, either pressing F7 or clicking this button will remove that grid. Again, clicking that button right there. So I'm going to go ahead and turn mine off. Notice there's a couple of other pieces of information here in the model space. One of them is my XY axis. For our two-dimensional drawings, I always want to be drawing in an XY axis. Up here in the top right is a view cube, and that view cube allows me to rotate or to spin or to flip around or to look at things from an angle. Because I'm not going to do anything three-dimensionally for my two-dimensional architectural drawings, I'm going to go ahead and select top. And if I don't want to see this, or if I don't want to see the XY axis, I can turn them on and off. Now there is some benefit of having them on. Let's say that my drawing is a little bit skewed and things aren't turning out right. I might notice that I've skewed it a little bit, and by being able to select top, it recenters it for me and allows me to draw exactly on the XY axis. But if I want to take those off the screen, I'm going to click View. I'm going to unselect UCS, my Universal Coordinate System icon, and my View Cube. I now have a blank model space in which to work. So it's important to note that all the drawing that we do will be done in model space. So if I look down here at the bottom left of my screen, I have 3 tabs. The first one being Model. Model is always where I draw. Layout 1 and Layout 2 are used for putting my drawing onto sheets of paper and then modifying that so that I can print it. But I'm going to stick to model space right now. A couple of other commands that are helpful to get set up early on are my autosave function, as well as crosshairs and background color. So if I right-click anywhere in model space, I can go down to Options. And on my display, so it's the second tab over, if I want to change the background color, I can come down to this button right here that says Colors. And my context is my 2D model space, uniform background. And over on the right-hand side, I can select a different color, or I could select white or magenta or red, any of those colors, or I could select my own. One thing to keep in mind is the user that might be opening up your file next. I want things that are going to be easy to see, easy to read. So I'm going to, in this case, I'm going to select cancel because I want to keep it the same color that it is right now as the background. Over on the right-hand side of this same display tab is an area for crosshair size. So right now it's set to 5. Let me cancel out of here. So you can see that anywhere I move on the screen, I have crosshairs. So if I select my line, command, or circle, the center of that X is where I'm going to start working. But let's say that I have a really complicated design. I have a lot of information on the screen. It might be easy for this to get lost. So I want to increase the size of my crosshairs. So again, to get there, I'm going to right-click, go down to Options, select Crosshair Size, and I can use the slider or I can type in information. But let me go 100%, click OK. So now anywhere I go in model space, it will show me my crosshairs. I'm going to go ahead and go back to Options and select 5. I'm going to keep it as it is for now. And then the last thing I want to set up is my open and save feature. So one of the nice things about AutoCAD is that it allows you to automatically back up your file with a time that you specify. So under the Open and Save tab, if I go down to the second area, which is File Safety Precautions and Automatic Save, I can turn that on and off. I highly recommend that you always keep it on. I can click in this box and I can set the amount of time between automatic saves. And so AutoCAD will save it at the interval that I specify. I usually do 2 or 3 minutes because I want it to continually be backing up my work and I don't want to lose too much work if something were to happen. So I'll go ahead and select 3 minutes and I'm going to click OK. And so with that, I think we are now ready to draw.